Now we will look at the religion of Shinto. The teachings of Shinto is the oldest surviving religion in Japan. It's been influenced by other religions like Buddhism and Confucianism, but it is still there. The word Shin, S-H-I-N, refers to gods and deities. It literally Shinto means the way of the gods. It was a term that came about in history to distinguish it from Buddhism. Kami no Michi, Kami-no-Michi, is the way of the kami. It's the core belief of the Shinto religion. Kami is anything that is outside of the ordinary, awe-inspiring, or mysterious, or beyond human control. Some natural objects that are impressive in their appearance, like mountains and rivers and rocks and certain animals, can be kami. They can be deities and spirits and possibly people who possess powers that deserve to be worshipped. The religion has no definable founder, nor does it have a single sacred text. It is based on several highly revered texts. The Kojiki, K-O-J-I-K-I, is a record of ancient matters. Nihon Shoki, N-I-H-O-N, new word S-H-O-K-I, is the chronicles of the land where the sun originates. Both of these delve into the ancient mythologies and the beliefs. The creation myth is Izangi, I-Z-A-N-G-I, Izanami, I-Z-A-N-A-M-I. Both were creative deities. One was male, one was female. It says that they stood on a heavenly floating bridge. They dipped their jewel-tipped spears into the ocean, and as the water dripped off of the spear down the tip, it formed the islands that later became the islands of Japan. This continued until all great 8 islands were formed. The female Izanami was burned, delivering her last child, the fire god. Izanagi goes to the underground to find his wife, but he's repulsed because he's looking at her burned up body. So he retreats back to the surface of the earth, and he goes to a stream to wash his eyes, and from his eyes is born the sun goddess August Kami, A-G, just like August, and the lunar god, Tsukiyomi, and from his nostrils came the storm god, the violent and ill-tempered Susanoo. The storm god wreaked havoc on the sun goddess, so she retreats into a cave for a long period of time, and so that gives reason, if you will, for a solar eclipse. Many deities tried to coax her out. It was the deity Uzumi who did a lewd dance and got everyone laughing till the sun goddess came out to see what was going on. Japan as the divine creation. The core beliefs of Shinto centers around the kami and Japan's unique relationship with them. Some majestic objects, again, are animals. They can be kamis, such as mountains, waterfalls, moons, foxes. Some kami are ill-tempered, and there's a necessity to worship them, to appease them. For Shinto, Japan is the land of the kami, created by the kami, and it is for them a paradise on earth. They had rituals of fertility and purification. Early Shinto centered around fertility and purification. Death, disease, and blood are seen as polluting, and anyone connected to these things were considered spiritually impure and had to be ritually purified before approaching a kami. This would be those who were untouchables in society. They performed some of the dirtiest jobs: butchers, tanners, undertakers. This form of discrimination has been lifted more in modern times. The sun, which is the most illustrious kami, was an object. She's also female. It was not uncommon for the imperial ruler of Japan to be female. In Shinto, they do have ethics of good and evil, and in early Shinto, there is no reference to ethics. But for the most part, morality was untouched, even in early Shinto. There was no surprise God placing emphasis on morality or law. There is not even a hint of struggle. There's not even a hint of struggle in their religion. For Shinto, there are no evil entities such as Satan trying to subvert the work of the creators. It's all based on impurities, and the remedy was simple: purify. Defilement before the gods is not a sin. It does not produce guilt, but it pollutes with impurities. Japanese ethics are heavily rely on Buddhism and Confucianism. Shinto and imperial authority. Early Shinto drew a direct line between the divine origin and the imperial family. The emperor or empress was considered a divine descendant of the sun goddess. Let's talk about the history of Shinto. There are basically three periods of the history in Shinto: ancient Shinto, medieval Shinto, and modern Shinto. Ancient Shinto, prehistoric with nature worship, kami became known and thought as, and people saw them more than humans. Medieval Shinto, during this time, Confucianism and Buddhism had been introduced to Japan. This brought a jolt to Shintoism, and many of the believers began to think and have ideas that really ignored Shintoism. They sensed a rivalry between Shintoism and the other religions. A lot of people who were Shinto believers embraced Confucianist moral ideas. Shinto kamis became guardians and protectors of the newly arrived Buddhists and their manifestations. There was a convergence of Shinto, Buddhism, and Confucianism in Japan that helped to create the samurai, which is the sword-wielding warriors. They had a code of conduct. The Bushido, Bushido. They would fiercely fight for the royal family. Let's talk about the modern time of Shinto. It started when Shinto tried to recover its beliefs over these other traditions. Kokugaku was a national learning in the 18th century. It was telling people to get back to their original Shinto beliefs. Ultranationalism, imperialism, and conflict. Meijii was a 15-year-old emperor who emerged from the shadow, and he would claim his divine right. The emperor was then placed at a level of a living kami, God in human form, God in human flesh with blood. State Shinto was blamed for the fanatical nationalism that gave rise to Japan's involvement in World War II. Emperor Hirohito considered foreign aggression a divine mission to be carried out without remorse and without hesitation. It gave rise to the kamikaze pilots. Shinto is a way of life, and far more important than beliefs or ceremonies and ritual practices. Rituals allow believers to be in the presence of the kamis and even bond with them. There are some fertility rites. Kinenasi is a festival to pray for a good harvest, to take for fertility, dispensing kami shrines to the fields where people will dance and celebrate the spring event. The harvest was about the same way. The most powerful deities in the kamis were female. They still have Miko, M-I-K-O, unmarried women who work in the shrines and communicate with the kamis. They are some fully credentialed as priestesses in shrines today. There are rites of purification and presentation and petition and participation. The first three steps are performed by priests, while the last involves the congregation of people. Both must be spiritually clean and to encounter the kamis. The second step is to offer food and offerings to the kami. The purification ritual is called Harae. The priest is dressed in a ritual garb or vestments, and he waves an onusu, O-N-U-S-A, a wand made of paper strips and evergreen branches. It is waved first from the left and to the right and back to the left. Ritual bathing, M-I-S-O-G-I, bathing under a waterfall, immersing in an ocean water. Salt is sometimes used for purification. If you remember, some sumo wrestlers often throw salt in the air as a sign of purification. The shrine, referred to as the Jinja, J-I-N-J-A, is the dwelling place of the kami. Going in requires a purified body and a purified mind. The grand shrine is at Ise, I-S-E, is the main sanctuary for the sun goddess. There are certain religious observances during the year: New Year, the turn of the seasons, the Doll Festival, the Boys' Day, the Star Festival, the Ghost Festival, which I like is Oban, Families go and clean off the graves of their ancestors and the harvest festival. After World War II, Shinto was basically done away with. It's no longer much in existence. The divinity of the Japanese emperor was disavowed, and Shinto religion today is still practiced, but it is not reaching very many new people even as we speak.